Yo, what is up guys, Skin here. Welcome back to the Ravnica Allegiance pre-release primer. Today we are going to be covering Rakdos, everyone's favorite colors, red and black. Keep in mind really quick that this pre-release primer is only specifically for pre-release. It will not cover modern and standard implications of some of these cards, and that this will not be in any way a holistic review of this set. It is just a snapshot of a few cards and what I think you can do with the deck. So, without further ado, let's talk about Rakdos. Rakdos' mechanic is Spectacle. Spectacle means that you can pay a certain cost, usually cheaper, to cast a spell if an opponent has lost life this turn. So basically, you play a burn spell, oh, they lost 3 life, and then you play a Spectacle cost, and sometimes there's an effect that comes with playing a Spectacle cost, and there's stuff that will work in good synergy with that. So let's get to some very fun cards here. Rakdos is really fun. I love the chaos that ensues, and I look forward to playing against some of these decks just because I have no idea what's going on with them. Alright, first card we're going over with is Captive Audience. Captive Audience is a 7 mana enchantment. It enters the battlefield under the control of an opponent of your choice, and at the beginning of your upkeep, which will be your opponent's upkeep, you choose one that hasn't been chosen. The opponent's life total will become 4. The opponent must discard their hand, or each opponent, meaning you, will create 5 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. This is just the ultimate screw you, because every time your opponent takes a turn, they get something that is really bad that happens. Discarding your hand, if they can get their hand down to very little, isn't too bad, but the other two, especially in an EDH format, is very debilitating. So I'm excited to see if anyone pulls Captive Audience. It is a mythic card, so probably not, but I've seen crazier things. Next up, we have an instant/sorcery split card. It is Bedeck and Bedazzle. Pardon me, they are both instants. This is printed at rare. Bedeck is a 2 hybrid mana of Rakdos instant that says target creature is +3/+3/-3 until end of turn. This is good if you want to pump your own giant creature or kill something. It effectively is a lightning strike. It'll work just the same, and that's very good for that. Sorry that my phone was going off. Next we have Bedazzle also. Bedazzle is the other card. It costs 6 mana, and you can destroy target non-basic land, and Bedazzle will deal 2 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. I personally think 6 mana is a very large amount to pay for that. And so I personally will just use Bedeck to get creature removal, because non-basic lands, really the only ones that are good are the Guild Gates. There's not really like a Maze's End in this deck. So I don't really see where Bedazzle is useless. Or useful, I should say. Next up we have an uncommon creature. It is Colt Guildmage. It is a 2/2 for a black and a red. You can pay 3 in black and tap it, and target player discards a card if you can only do that at sorcery speed. And you can pay a red to tap it and have it deal 1 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. This card is decent value just because it helps you if you mana flood in a way, because that can happen. And I like, especially in pre-releases, you can mana flood a lot, and so you just need that safety in your deck. Next up, we have another enchantment. I really love the Rakdos enchantments. It is Theater of Horrors. Theater of Horrors is a 3 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library, and during your turn, and if an opponent lost life this turn, you can play cards that have been exiled via Theater of Horrors. Alternatively, if you haven't dealt damage to your opponent, you can pay 3 in a red to have Theater of Horrors deal 1 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. That's some good stuff. So, I think for 3 mana, this is a lot of value, especially late game. Again, mana flood protection, but also to help you kind of sift through your deck in a tad faster manner than your opponents to help get the value cards that you want. Next up, we have Drillbit. Drillbit is a sorcery. It is worth 2 in black with a spectacle cost of just 1 black. Target player reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. 3 mana. In my opinion, this is printed uncommon, is a lot for this spell, but 1 mana is very good value. I think this card should be valued at around 2, and that's kind of what I like, is that it's an overcosted spell unless you pay for spectacle cost, in which you're getting undervalued. And just getting a chance to reveal their hand and making them discard a card for 1 mana is some good stuff. Next up is one of my favorite. There's a lot of instances of sorceries and Rakdos that are just really cool. We'll get to some creatures eventually, I promise. Electro Dominance. Electro Dominance is an X spell that you need 2 red, deals X damage to any target, and you may cast a card with converted mana cost X or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. So you're basically getting a 2-for-1 here. You're just paying 2 mana to cast a second spell. So if X is really high, you're getting amazing value out of this card. And it's printed at rare, and I really hope I pull this for my Gruul deck, because this will really help me throw a big creature down. And I just like it. It's just really cool to get value out of a red spell. Like, I don't really, other than like Atali and stuff, red spells don't like really cast things for free. Next up, we have an uncommon. It is Rakdos Firewheeler. It is a 4/3 for 2 black and 2 red. When it enters the battlefield, it will deal 2 damage to target opponent and 2 damage up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. This is a very good turn 4 play. If you can get it off on turn 4, blow up their 2-drop, deal 2 to their face, and get card advantage immediately. And that's why I really like this card, especially printed uncommon. Because then if you can get multiple of them, you can hit that more effectively and really just make things go your way. Sorry about that. Next up, we have Judith the Scourge Diva. This is one of the legendary creatures that you can play as a commander in EDH. I personally don't recommend it just because it's really frail. But it is a 3-mana 2/2. Other creatures you control get +1/+0. And whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Judith the Scourge Diva deals 1 damage to any target. EDH, this is very bad. Limited, this is amazing. And that 1 extra damage could really help, and the 1 damage that you get from her ability is amazing. And so this is a very nice value card at 3 mana, especially even just on turn 3. And so I think Judith the Scourge Diva is one of the better bombs, even only at 3 mana as a 2/2 in this set, despite the removal. Next up, we have Amplifier. Amplifier is, I think, my favorite card in Rakdos, just because of what it does and how unique it is. It is a 4-mana 1/1. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Until your next turn, Amplifier's base power becomes twice that card's power, and its base toughness becomes twice that card's toughness. Put all the revealed cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. So I could on turn 4 put this out, or on turn 3 if I'm playing Gruul and get ramp or something. Turn 5, hit like a 7/7, and this is boom, OP. For 4 mana. Turn 5, it can really get out of hand. Printed at rare, this card is straight value. Next up, we have the other legendary creature. This is really fun. It is Rakdos the Showstopper. It is a mythic 6/6 for 6 with flying and trample. When Rakdos the Showstopper enters the battlefield, flip a coin for each creature that ain't demon, devil, or imp, and destroy each creature whose coin comes up tails. For the most part, especially with Rakdos, you're going to be running demons, imps, and devils, so you're pretty safe on that one. And so 50-50 chance of each opponent's creatures that's dying. And that's good value. That pretty much can end the game, especially if they don't have flyers. If it's Orzhov, maybe they get something out of it. But that's about it. And last but not least, we have Illgotten Inheritance. Illgotten Inheritance is a 3 and black enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain 1 life. And you can pay 6 to sacrifice it and deal 4 damage to target opponent and you gain 4 life. This card by itself, not that good. What really gets me going with this card is that it is printed at common. I could get 3 of these and just pretty much end the game by turn 6. And that's where I see the value in this card, is the fact that in a pre-release, there's a decent chance you might get multiple of these, especially if you can pull one in your seeded pack. I think you have a real good shot here. So that is all the cards that I'm going to go over with Rakdos today. So what can you do with Rakdos? You can splash green for Gruul, or you can splash white for Orzhov. I personally think that splashing Gruul is not the way to go if you have the opportunity between the two, just because I think that, whereas I said Gruul gets a lot from Rakdos, I don't think Rakdos gets a whole lot from Gruul, because Gruul just gets you a bunch of big creatures. The only thing I really see you getting from Gruul is ramp. Whereas Orzhov, you get flyers, you get access to the white removal, you get access to life gain, and you get access to afterlife mechanics. So if you end up blowing up a board, you still get creatures out of it. That's what I personally think you should do in that situation, and that's what I would do in that situation, although I'm not playing Rakdos in the pre-release. So yeah, that is it for this pre-release primer. If you have any questions, feel free to throw something at Twitter. Tomorrow we have the last one, Azorius. So look forward to that. Happy planeswalking, guys. Good luck at your pre-release on Saturday.